So we took a slightly different approach to this one, as you might well imagine, and we didn't have a panel, we had a band. So I'd like to just talk about RFIs for a second, which is, what is an RFI? Really fucked it. Or not. The purpose of an RFI, just as a classification, I have to do this to explain it, is not to win the pitch. The purpose of an RFI is to get through to the round of a chemistry meeting more often than not. So as a general thing, when we look at them, just bear this in mind, rude not to. That's when people have really understood the audience, really understood the issues that are happening, made an effort, and you look at the RFI and say, we've got to go and see them. So that's my top tip of the evening. It's every time you're doing that, just look at yourselves and say, rude not to. So I'm going to introduce my band now. My band, I'm starting with Pete Markey. Pete Markey runs the post office, absolute ledge. And what you might know about him, Pete, where are you, mate? Come on, darling. Is Pete once played air guitar, really did, with Slash from Guns N' Roses. So I had him on lead guitar. Thank you. Next up, Top Bird, Alex, who is a complete financial marketing whiz. And she, aged 9, darling, 9, went to the Bad conference with Michael Jackson in Minneapolis. 9! On drums, just because it's nice to have a girl on drums. I always like that. Hills, I'm just looking at you there, don't? Babe Station last year. On lead vocals, strangely, I've got Ian Armstrong. Ian runs Jaguar Worldwide, absolute legend, great travelling companion of mine. And bizarrely, not a lot of you know this, Mick Jagger sang Happy Birthday to him on his 30th birthday. How amazing is that? An old girlfriend of mine, luckily she's in the house, Alex Lewis, and lovely to have you, darling. Up you come. She actually, we had an awkward moment in our relationship because there was a moment for 6 months of her life when she was going out with a roadie from the Rolling Stones, much to the mirth and worry of her mother and me, who I thought I was going out with all my life. Yes. So RFI, and then we had 2 babes. We had Jill Barr, very, very grown up, lovely, and we had Claire Harrison Church, who's washing her hair tonight. So criteria, chemistry. So yeah, I'm just going to focus on this a little bit. So do we want to see the agency? Can it work? Can they work with us? Is there going to be a chemistry in it? So we were often actually with an RFI. And a slight grievance to me is that as we move into a digital age, actually, it's a group of people looking at something around a table, and so we're sharing something. It's sort of sharing a meal in a way, which often doesn't work digitally. So we're looking at something, and are we feeling the love? The character, does that shine through? Is it concise? Does it communicate really quickly? Have they thought about us? Is it relevant to us? And have they made a bit of effort? Are they hungry for the business? So, with that, Vic's going to show a little short film of the contestants. So I'm just going to introduce these quickly, and then we'll get some feedback and opinions from the team. So this is McLaren, done by Proximity. So we're talking about high net worth individuals. It's a big luxe area. So a nice bit of packaging. And so put that down there. But I think and so I'm just going to put this through, so I'm just giving my own personal opinion, and thanks for coming. But anyway, you can see rather lovely on that one. And we'll come back and I'll go to team it. So then we've got BBC from Sarches, who very bravely took over, and I'll get some opinions from the team in a moment, the BBC magazine to do what was actually a government OG notice. So could have been potentially really dry. Lots of agencies piling in because the whole world and his wife can. And a little film, so we'll come to that in a moment. And then we've got another BBC one from Wydens, which we'll talk about in a moment, but so this is what it looked like. So slightly less production values, but a lot of thought had gone into that. And then we had an opportunity, so going back, the RFI was getting onto a chemistry list, and this is for William Hill, from Gray, from Cat, who actually wrote to Christoph and said, I hate creds, what an utter waste of my life. So campaign reporting, blah, 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 and sent them a bet to get onto the thing, which is a rather cheeky thing. So with that in mind, just to remind you, my lovelies, those there, just put those on there. Thank you. Maybe just put them, hold them around. So my question, first to Pete, remind myself, is Pete, when faced with a pile of RFIs, what are you looking for?
Okay, I mean, I think the key thing is we're all busy, we've got a lot of time pressures. I'm looking for something that's really going to grab my attention straight away. And I'm also looking for real personality to shine through. Some of the other RFIs we looked at were a little bit robotic, a little bit like they've been put off the shelf, dusted down, and a couple of client images chucked in, and that's a good one. The ones that really stood out, so the ones we've got here, were very original and very brave, and the personality of the agency really shone through. They actually made you smile. They were a delight to look at. The other bit that I would be looking for, as I think these clients were, was the synergy, the connection with your brand or business. And the ones that were brilliant, and in fact, I've got the two in front of me, the BBC, and if I pull the McLaren one, that was just such a beautiful piece of work that really understood the prestige and the value of that client. It was a coffee table book that you'd flick through and you want to show people and talk about. It absolutely personified that brand. So I'd be looking for that fit. So the best RFIs absolutely deliver that in spades, and with some great work here. It's brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Next question to you, Ian, is on, big issue on this one, on production values. We hate agencies wasting money, but there are times in audiences, how important are production values?
Well, having just dissed the Wyden version of the production values.
You can have your own opinion, darling.
Sorry, Neil, but you know, I think on the basis that this is the first time you come in contact with an agency, so and you're in the market to find good work and to buy good work. So I think it's incredibly important that if you pick something up, you feel it, you watch it, it showcases the work critically, but at the same time, it gives you a real, there are some subliminal signals, which is about attention to detail, quality, and just really having kind of a strong insight in terms of what the client requirements are. And if you can encapsulate all of that into a document, a film, whatever the physical item is or the digital item is, then actually that then is really, really important. So we saw lots of examples that were fairly run-of-the-mill and seemed very businesslike and doing the job, but hadn't necessarily taken into account some of those additional sort of cues that we were looking for.
Alexandra, I'm going to go for you on this next one because you're a bit feisty on this. What really pissed you off about the RFIs?
What really pissed me off is that the purpose of an RFI is to be selling yourself to become somebody's agency. And some of the agencies just frankly did a really rubbish job of selling themselves. So why would you hire an agency that's going to try and help you sell yourself if they can't even be bothered or do a good enough job of selling themselves? I mean, this stuff should just jump out at you, and some of it just really didn't.
I think she's a little harsh, but anyway. And Alex, and I'm going to ask you each of this question. So, is because we love to be positive and helpful. Is what about the better ones gave you a sense of excitement about meeting the agency? What was it that generated that? And it's often actually a question that just think about it, darling. Often I say to clients, and this is another thing to help, is imagine you've got a meeting in your diary a week on Thursday with agency X, and having seen this, how are you feeling about it? It's a visceral thing, because it's a village, everyone sort of knows each other, but I've got this challenge, I'm really excited about them working with me, and that's the question. Alex, sorry, darling, stole your thunder.
That's fine. I mean, I think the key thing for me is getting a sense of the fun and the personality out of the work that's been produced at this stage, because, as you said, it is the chemistry moment. It's the moment that will open the door or not. And so really trying to get a sense of who the people are behind the work and whether you can work with them, because they will be an extension of your team, is the biggest clue for me. And also, I guess, just going back to what Alex was saying about things that piss you off, it's a basic understanding that the agency's listened a bit to what your brief is and is hearing you and is choosing case studies that actually are relevant to your brief, and therefore that they are hearing you and they get you even at this stage. It's just really important to kind of work out that chemistry moment right at the beginning, because this is a moment where you discard a lot.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alex. Go on.
You asking me?
Look lively.
I think you're going to spend a lot of time with these people, and you're going to be some good places and probably in some pretty dark places, and you're going to argue a lot. And in order to get through all of that stuff, you're looking for something that just gives you a little bit of a spark that kind of turns it 30 to 60 degrees away from where you thought you were looking at, and just gives you some interesting whether it's an insight or whether it's just a comment or whether it's an attitude, something that resonates, that just helps stand out and rise to the surface. They're the kind of things I think that help.
I was looking for something that was really obviously going to mesh with the brand that I was fictitiously representing, and there were a couple that really stood out as being just so obviously understanding what the brand was.
Soups.
And I think just building on some of what the other guys have said, I mean, I think for me, there's an element where we all work really hard, we work long hours, our agencies come on the journey with us. I was looking for an agency that's going to be a lot of fun to work with. I want to get a sense of their personality, because we are going to be in the trenches together, long hours, tough times, good times. You want to actually have fun, enjoy the journey together, not something that felt a bit staid, a bit dull, a bit corporate, a bit faceless. I want a sense of the personality. What's it really going to be like? To the point where you felt with some of these, you knew the people. So it's funny, actually, slightly spooky seeing faces in the crowd tonight. It's like, oh, I know that person. I've seen them in the RFI. But it works. That's how powerful it is. You go, I get a sense of these people and what they're about. And I think the winner, which we'll announce shortly, definitely showed that.
Go on then, announce it.
Okay.
The winner is, Pete.
The winner is. Okay, so am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Runners-up. Okay, the runners-up will now
Well, it's
appear on the
pretty
screen.
obvious. Okay.
So congratulations to them. It's great work. Round of applause, please.
Here we are.
But the winner that absolutely blew us away from Saatchi and Saatchi was very, very brave. And this is the team that I'm sure I see many of the people around tonight. They did this in the style of the BBC's in-house magazine. They produced a short film in the style of W1A, the comedy. It was really brave and risky, but smart and clever, and really pushed the boundaries. And you got a massive sense of who these guys were. So huge credit. It was a fantastic piece of work.